Are you struggling with feeling like the narcissistic abuse you've been through defines you? I'm going to share with you an effective and unusual way to conquer this feeling. Narcissistic abuse is a traumatic experience that attempts to dismantle the survivor's sense of self-worth and identity, but it does not inherently define who the survivor is. The abuse is a reflection of the perpetrator's dysfunction, not the survivor's value or character. Hi, my name is Maria, and I'm studying to become a life coach specializing in narcissistic abuse and trauma recovery. I hope my videos are helpful, informative, and validating for you. Whether you are presently in or have been in a narcissistic abusive relationship, or you have a friend or family member that presently is or has been in a narcissistic abusive relationship. Or maybe you have a friend or family member that is a narcissist, a boss, a colleague, a roommate. It does not have to be a romantic relationship. Here is why and how survivors' identity remains separate from the abuse they endured. Abuse is external. The abuse is something that happened to the survivor. It is not who they are as a person. The abuser's actions are choices they made stemming from their own issues, insecurities, and need for control. Strength surviving abuse often highlights the survivor's incredible strength, resilience, and capacity for endurance. These inherent qualities define them more truly than the abuse itself. I've always said that someone who has gone through narcissistic abuse or any kind of domestic violence is actually strong and a hero because of what they've endured. Victims typically retain their core values as empathy, sadness, and integrity. These qualities are often targeted by the abuser precisely because the abuser lacks them. The survivor's capacity for love and connection remains even if it is exploited. The capacity for healing and growth journey of recovery involves reclaiming one's narrative and identity. Through therapy and support, survivors can process the trauma, set boundaries, rediscover their true self, independent of the abusive dynamic. Survivor's identity is not static definition based on trauma. It is an evolving story that includes healing, new experiences, self-defined goals, and relationships. Ultimately, the survivor defines their own worth and future. The abuse is a chapter in the story, not the entire book. Training your brain to know you are not defined by narcissistic abuse involves lingering neuroplasticity, which is the brain's ability to rewire itself through constant intentional practices to focus on rebuilding self-worth, establishing boundaries, and seeking support. Key strategies and techniques. Acknowledge and label the abuse. The first step to accept the abuse occurred is that the abuser's actions were a reflection of their issues, not your worth. Understanding the dynamics of narcissistic abuse, such as gaslighting and manipulation, helps you externalize the experience rather than internalize it as a personal failing. I have videos on gaslighting and manipulation. The links are below. There is the law of attraction, which is attracting what you believe you deserve, such as you believe you deserve narcissism. That is probably what you will likely get. If you believe that you deserve someone good, that is likely what you will get. I believed for years that I would get narcissism because that's always what I had got. But I absolutely believe that there are deeper issues that attract you to a narcissist. That is why you should watch my video, Why I Always Attract a Narcissist into My Life. The link is below. Seek professional support from a therapist, particularly one trained in trauma-informed care and narcissistic abuse, which can provide essential guidance. Somatic therapy focuses on realizing trauma stored in the body through the physical techniques, which is crucial as trauma can manifest physically. I know I've talked about some of the following techniques in previous videos, but they are very effective. Implement no contact or strict boundaries to heal. You need the distance from the source of the trauma. Blocking phone numbers, social media is often the ideal scenario for recovery. If complete no contact isn't possible, for example, you share children or work in the same workplace, establish firm non-negotiable boundaries with clear consequences for violations. Practice self-compassion to counter the harsh inner critic, which often echoes the abuser's voice, which kindness and understanding. Treat yourself with the same empathy you would a friend, use self-compassion exercises, for example, placing your hand on your heart and offering kind words to yourself, like, I am valuable. Reconnect with yourself, rediscover interests, engaging in old hobbies, or explore new activities you enjoy. This helps you figure out who you are outside of the abusive dynamic. Since I have left narcissistic abuse, I have rediscovered myself and my love for hiking and how I love art. And I've made a new discovery of how I love to grow and nurture plants. It's very therapeutic. Determine what is important to you and make decisions based on those values to seek external validation or avoid criticism. Rebuild self-trust by making small everyday choices, for example, what to eat or what book to read, without overthinking it. Surround yourself with reaffirming friends, family, or support groups who can validate your experiences and remind you that the abuse was not your fault. Positive relationships provide the corrective social experiences needed to retrain your brain safety signals. When self-doubt arises, ask yourself whose voice it is, mine or the narcissist, and deliberately replace the negative thought with a realistic, self-supporting alternative. Trauma is stored in the body, so physical activities can help release it. I recommend The Body Keeps the Score. There are links below to order it on Amazon. Use mindfulness, which is being aware of your emotions, to help regulate your nervous system and bring you back to the present moment. Exercise, for example, like walking, can help release pent-up emotions and promote brain health. I have videos on reclaiming yourself after narcissism, boundaries, and self-care. The links are below. If you liked my video and find it helpful, please like, share, follow, or subscribe, and let me know if you are in or have been in narcissistic abuse and feel defined by it. I would like to hear your stories in the comments below. Now I'm going to share with you the unusual and effective way to deal with the feeling of being defined by narcissistic abuse. Use a physical cue like a vibrating watch or rubber band on your wrist to periodically check your focus when it goes off. Ask, can I control my actions, boundaries, or something I can't? Other people's emotions or past events. If it's something you can't control, consciously refocus on what you can. Also use the rubber band on your wrist to snap it when you realize you're thinking negative thoughts about yourself that are not true, and remind yourself that you can think positive thoughts to counteract it. Create a personal mantra such as, my initial fear is no data, or this feeling of shame, for example, is a phantom limb from a war I left, so to speak. With authentic emotional reaction cures, use this mantra to pause between the stimulus and your response, preventing the emotional hijack. Use a journal to record daily events, your feelings, and what you know to be true, which directly counters the gaslighting and builds self-trust. Train your brain to practice a technique of identity inventory, constantly letting go of survival identities during the abuse to make room for your authentic self. This approach works by using the brain's neuroplasticity to intentionally overwrite trauma and form neutral pathways with new empowering narratives and external compass that is not subject to external manipulation. The identity and inventory and rewriting the brain technique. Acknowledge and list survival identities. Write down the roles, labels, and identities you adapted to survive the abuse. For example, I am the people pleaser, the silent one, the fixer, or the overly self-critical one. Question each identity role. Ask yourself who I really am and who I became to stay alive. Write each identity on a piece of paper and safely burn it. Imagine shedding it like an old skin or armor, verbally stating, I am no longer defined by whatever you wrote on the paper. I make room for my true self, and say it 3 times in 3 segments a day to help rewire your brain. I will see you in the next video.